Over the last almost 2 years or so, FiiO have really been focusing on creating a wide range of Bluetooth portable audio products. As such, since the introduction of the original Q5, we've not really seen any similar product released since then. But back in March, for FiiO's Spring 2019 launch event, they unveiled an updated version of the Q5, which is this, the Q5s. For the most part, the Q5s looks largely identical to its predecessor. The dimensions are the same, as is the design of the volume pot, the faux leather pad on the rear of the device, and the 3 playback control buttons. The modular amp design has also made a return, and the Q5s is completely backwards compatible with all previous amp modules. This new iteration, however, does come with the new AM3E module, which features both 2.5 and 4.4mm balanced connections, as well as a regular 3.5mm single-ended connection. One thing you might notice is that the USB connection is still just a micro USB variant, rather than the more modern Type-C interface. Unfortunately, this is something that had to be done in order to ensure compatibility with iOS devices. So for more details regarding this, check out the link in the description to the full written review. Whilst on the topic of the USB port, the original Q5 had separate ports for which you could assign which was to be used for charging the device and which was for passing through USB audio. The Q5s, however, is equipped with just one such port. Over on the top panel, things look pretty familiar as we are again treated to a gain switch as well as a bass boost switch. There's also a 3.5mm combo port which allows you to connect either a coax or optical cable, as well as a regular unbalanced analog input. Alongside the combo port is a dedicated line-out should you want to connect the Q5s to an even more powerful amplifier. It is single-ended though, not balanced. Under the hood, the dual AK4490 EQ DAC chips of the Q5 have been replaced with a pair of AK4493EN DAC chips. The Bluetooth module has also been replaced, which means that the Q5s not only features Bluetooth 5.0, but it also supports a number of additional Bluetooth codecs. The Q5 was limited to regular SBC, AAC and aptX connectivity, but now we've got the choice of also utilizing aptX HD, aptX low latency, LDAC and even HWA. So stylistically, the design of the Q5s does not differ all that much from its predecessor, and so the changes applied here are more function over form. In terms of the overall functionality and how to use the Q5s, some things have remained the same whilst others have been improved and refined. Gone is the separate power button, as this has now been replaced with a power switch built into the volume dial. There's also a new input selection switch and a couple of multifunctional indicator lights. Under normal circumstances, these lights will indicate which input is currently selected, but if you connect the Q5s to an external power source, such as a charger or desktop computer, then these lights become a battery level indicator, so you'll know when the device is fully charged. If you hold the input selection switch for roughly 2 seconds when it is not connected to an external power source, then the lights will also briefly show you the current battery level. The playback control buttons, of course, allow you to play, pause and skip tracks when connected to a Bluetooth source device, and the play pause button once again is also used to put the Q5s into Bluetooth mode. Again, for more detailed info on using this device, just click the link in the description of this video, which will take you to the full written review. When you've got the Q5s connected to a mobile phone or an Android-based player that runs the full version of FiiO's own music app, then you'll also have access to a couple of additional features and settings, including setting up a custom EQ profile, and the digital filter can also be selected. All in all, from both a design and usability perspective, I think FiiO has done a great job with the Q5s, as it looks premium, has some great features, and really is very simple to operate. If you caught my review on the original Q5, then you'll also know that I wasn't really a big fan of how it sounded. It turned me off for the same reason and in the same way that the X5 3rd Gen did. The sound signature just seemed overly warm and smooth, to the point where it kind of just felt more like a regular consumer audio device rather than a dedicated portable hi-fi device. The Q5s, however, is completely different for me. I absolutely love this device. Compared to the original Q5, the Q5s is more neutral, and those micro details don't come across as being smoothed over. You can hear and appreciate the more distinct separation and definition in the plucking of guitar strings, for example, and likewise drum hits have a more realistic snap as opposed to just some blurry and boomy bang. I did briefly have both the M11 and the Q5s at the same time, and so I did have a chance to compare them, which proved to be quite interesting. Previously, and strictly speaking from an audio quality perspective, external DAC devices generally tend to sound better than standalone portable music players. But in comparing the M11 to the Q5s, I really couldn't tell you if I would be able to reliably tell them apart. I think because they share a very similar DAC chip setup and possibly a similar amplification section as well, they tend to also have an extremely similar, if not identical, sound character too. There's a certain refinement in the slight touch of warmth and smoothness on offer here, which I found really enjoyable. I think by the time this review goes out, my review on the M11 would also have been out for a little while, and so everything I said about the M11 I feel holds true for the Q5s as well. Compared to FiiO's current flagship, the X7 Mark II, the M11 doesn't feel like a downgrade, and I feel the same way about the Q5s as well. This seems to sound just as good as anything else FiiO has produced, and so when we consider the price tag, we can really start to see just how much bang for buck value the Q5s has. As I briefly mentioned, I wasn't really a fan of the original Q5, simply because I did not find its specific sound signature very appealing. However, I still ended up giving it a pretty high rating, simply because I just could not ignore how versatile of a device it was. The Q5s, on the other hand, easily gets an even higher rating from me. The biggest drawback of the Q5s and other devices like it is that their usability and functionality is entirely dependent on them being hooked up to a source device. So this got me thinking, what would make the Q5s even better? And then I thought, what if FiiO could perhaps develop one of these amp modules with a micro SD card slot? That would take the Q5s just to a whole new level of versatility. I genuinely have no idea if this would at all be technically possible, at least, with how the circuitry is designed, but I think if FiiO could at least implement something like that into perhaps the next iteration of the Q5s, or maybe the Q7, that might give something like the Chord Mojo and Poly combo a run for its money, considering that it costs upwards of $1,200. But for now, for what the Q5s is currently, I think it's a phenomenal device, and with a price tag of just $350, it really does bring a heck of a lot of value to the table. Well, that's it for this review. Thank you so much for watching. I really do hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button, and if you didn't, please hit that dislike button twice. That's all from me for now, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.